So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I photograph Brooks Falls using my Nikon D810, and I believe what I'm pulling out of the bag right now is my 70-200, but I will also be using my vintage 28mm lens in this video as well, and this is just a short little walkthrough of how I set up and shoot waterfalls. This is a picture of He-Man standing at the falls. It's a pretty busy spot. This is a 70-200, 70 millimeters, f13, an eighth of a second, ISO 100. And when doing any kind of waterfall, or mostly landscape and waterfall photography, I usually just set the camera to manual and set your lens to infinity. And I'm usually shooting at a high f-stop, usually f11 to f13, and in this case it's f13. And the reason you want a high f-stop, f11 to 13, is to try to slow the shutter down. First of all, you want everything to be in focus, but you also want a slower shutter speed. So a high f-stop does both, and the slower shutter speed will blur your water. But keep in mind, if it's a windy day, your leaves will be blurry too, depending on the wind. This is the photo in Lightroom. Nice and sharp. And you can see how everything is in focus at f13. And this is actually a 13th. Does that say a 13th of a second? 1/13 of a second. I must have sped that up a little bit. So I've now moved to the base of the waterfall. This is my favorite spot to be. The best shots are at the base of the waterfall, in my opinion. And I just love the route up on the right-hand side here. And there's a route on the left-hand side of the waterfall as well. I've got people that are coming and going at the top of the waterfall, so I'm kind of waiting for them to stay out of the shot. But some of the earlier shots I took where the people were in the photos were actually better than the ones with no people in the photos. And it just shows perspective with the person standing in front of the waterfall. It shows you the size, the scale of the waterfall. And today I'm fortunate enough that it's dark enough in here that I don't need a filter. I put a filter on the 28mm a little bit later on in the video. I'll show you those pictures, but it was too dark. The ND 1000 I put on, and a 30-second shot, it was almost too dark. It was underexposed. Okay, let's look at this one in Lightroom. Because it's a 28mm manual lens, it still thinks that I've got the 70-200 in there, and it says that it's at a f8. It's not. It's set at f11, and it's the 28mm lens. But 20 seconds, and this is no filter. There's no filter on this one. And I'll show you what I mean by I have another one that I shot with at 30 seconds, And I think I even raised the ISO to let enough light in. But the leaves, I don't think there was very much wind. The leaves are pretty good at 20 seconds. They're pretty sharp. But I don't think it was a very windy day. You can see some motion in that. So this is with a filter. You can see a bit of a purple tinge on the rocks. But all in all, it's pretty sharp for a 30-second shot. 30 seconds and ISO 200. Like I said, I had to bring up. I didn't add any more exposure, but I did have to bring up the ISO just only to 200 in 30 seconds. But you can tell, you can see the leaves. Look at how blurry the leaves are now because it's a 30-second shot. And even it's not the greatest shot, really. I almost like the one without the filter better. Reference. Okay, got it. That's without filter. This is with filter. Oh, and I forgot to mention, a good tripod is a must. You could bump up your speed and shoot handheld, but you're not going to get the same effect. So the only way to get the really nice blurry water is with a slow shutter speed and a tripod. And that's it. That's how I photograph waterfalls. If you're interested in more videos like this one on photography tutorials or Lightroom tutorials, let me know in the comments section.